Hey guys, welcome back to Ollie Talks Airsoft. Today we're talking about MWS's again. This one isn't mine, but what we're going to be talking about is Bolt Overtravel and how you deal with it. Now, I did do a couple of videos that kind of talk around this subject, but none of them just directly hit it straight on. So that's what we're covering off in today's video, what you need to look out for, what you need to do, how you do it. And I've got 4 MWS's here, and so this is the perfect example to show you that there is no one size fits all. So let's get straight into it. Right, first thing you're going to need to do, you need to split your rifle. Now, you don't actually need to separate the upper and lower, you can just do it on a pivot, but I usually make the effort. The mistake that everyone makes, everyone's done it, I think everyone's MWS is going to be the same. Hopefully you can see at the top here, there has been a little bit of smashing. Why? Why does it smash? Well, what you got to remember is every time you pull the trigger, this bolt actually disappears all the way in to your buffer tube. So, and it goes all the way back, and you can get it all the way to here. Bang. This screw here smacks into the back there. This is because there isn't enough buffering inside here. So what you would normally get is, obviously you've got a spring in here, you've got the actual buffer that you're using, and then you've got the buffer tube which everything is kind of held in. Now with this one, give it a little shake, and we've got a single, this looks like one of the T8 buffers. So obviously Odie has put one in here because he has noticed that he's had a little bit of smashing at the top there, and he's basically gone, eek, shouldn't be doing that, let's push that system forward, and so we don't get this screw smacking into the top of the buffer tube here. So the way that you actually change like the length that the actual, like the short stroking on it basically, is empty out the buffer tube, so you've got nothing in there, you see all the way down to the bottom. And then some people say, I use 10Ps because I live in the UK and they fit perfectly, but you can buy these T8 sets, you can use washers. All that you're trying to do is just basically bring the back of the buffer tube up a little bit. So the point that this is going to bottom out moves up a little bit, and in turn it moves the bolt forward a tiny bit, so it's much less likely to smack. So what we're going to do now is, you'll notice that I'm not actually going to put the spring in. The reason for this is actually this entire spring will compress into the size of this, so you don't actually need to put it in there. So we saw there what was going on. Right, buffer in, into the buffer tube with no spring. Now we're going to get the bolt, we're going to drop it in. Now, a little bit of finagling. That doesn't want to go any further back than that. And don't forget, when you've got like an original buffer, you do have a springy part on the back. So if you were to push a little bit down on the bolt, you are going to get like a tiny bit of extra travel. So if you've got this screw and it is right near the back here and it's really, really close, then if you're using a sprung buffer, then it could still hit and you could still get some damage starting to happen. Less likely, but you know, everyone's rifle is going to be slightly different. So let's take what Odie has done here. So let's get the single buffer, so that single T8 purple one. Let's drop it into this MWS, for example. Oh, that sounds so good. So in this one, we've actually got a completely different setup. So in this one, we've got a short buffer. And not only have we got a short buffer, we've got a different spring. I'll make sure not to get those mixed up. And in the back here, we've got quite a few buffers, it looks like. So in the back here, we have got this much buffering. Odie's original one only had this much. Okay, so let's see what happens if someone was to just say, oh yeah, you've got to use exactly half a centimetre or a centimetre of buffering. We'll pop that in, pop that in. Right, let's see what happens when we put the bolt in. Oh look, it extends all the way to the back there, and that's where it's going to start, again, causing damage. So it doesn't work. It's not a one-size-fits-all kind of job. And what you're going to need to do is, once you've figured out, well, that one didn't work, you need to keep buffering it forward until you get to the point that it does work. So I've obviously short-stroked this one a little bit, so we're going to drop these buffers here in. So in they go. Right, now let's go with the short buffer that I originally had, and let's just drop a bolt in. And as you can see, that's as far back as it wants to go. We've got no danger of this screw smacking into the back of the buffer tube here. However, if we were to get these buffers out, let's get the actual buffer out. Let's put in one of these ones with the a sprung bit on the back that's obviously, as you can see, a little bit longer. Right, if we decide we're going to dump that one in, drop the bolt in, you see, right, now what we've basically done is we've really short stroked the system here, because that's as far back as it's going to be going. So this is what allows you to like short stroke your system, get higher rates of fire and things like that. But also, I mean, the primary part of this is you just don't want to be damaging anything. And this is what you need to do in order to make sure that you're not going to damage anything. So yeah, once you've decided how much buffering you need for your individual buffer tube, then you can start putting everything back together, just like that. And we'll get, doesn't matter which bolt, this is just Odie's bolt. So again, we'll put it in here, and I'm quite pleased with that. We could probably get away with taking, we could probably get away with taking one of those buffers from in here out, but I actually quite like running this particular system slightly short stroked. So let's just see what the functionality is like on this now. So I've just put this exactly back to how it was before. So anytime it wants to line up. So do still have a functioning bolt lock, so that's really good. Whether it will actually, so it's got some dwell time in there as well. Not enough to make it catch. To be honest, I did actually swap out for a this I think is an Iron Airsoft steel bolt release. Not a fan so far, a little bit too heavy. I think I might try and go back to get a stock one on here at some point. So we've had a couple of examples there. Let's now just straight up have a look at my Mark 18 version of the MWS. So I don't even know how this one is set up. So this one is so old that yeah, I will just pivot the gun. So tell you what, look it out, get the bolt out. Let's put it in here, let's see what we're getting. Okay, that's pretty heavily short stroke. It's basically, like, we've all done it, like everyone has had the bit of damage caused. As you can see, I've got it on mine. It's almost a bit of a rite of passage. I think everyone's got it. So let's just have a quick look and see what kind of buffering I've got going on in here. Seems like quite a lot, to be honest. Okay, yeah, there is a fair bit. There's an extra 10p there. So we've got like a good inch or so of buffering in there. I don't actually think we need all of it in there. So let's just see if I was to just go, actually, yeah, we don't need it. Bear in mind, this is a Bravo company manufacturing buffer tube. So this is a real steel mil-spec buffer tube. And I have re-threaded the back of this receiver to accept a mil-spec buffer tube. So that's what the setup's looking like. So right, now when we go in, I go all the way back to the back of the travel. So actually I don't need any short stroking in this particular one. I don't need any buffers in the back of it, and it will just work fine. And no damage will be caused when I actually use the rifle. So all of those 10p's removed. Makes it a bit lighter as well. Not that I'm really one for a light gun. I quite like mine heavy, please. Exactly as you would expect. Maybe a bit of gas in that one would help. But you can see you've got full functionality, but I know because I've checked, this is not going to be causing any damage to the back of my buffer tube. So if you guys want to do this at home, I suggest that's kind of the check that you want to do, just to make sure you're getting it right. Yeah, give it a go. Yeah, so hopefully that's kind of explained like what you're trying to do and how you kind of get there. And yeah, if you've got any questions, like obviously pop them in the comments down below. I'll be happy to like try and pick up on anything that I've not covered off here, but hopefully that kind of makes sense to you. So all we're trying to do is just make sure that bolt doesn't ride quite as far back inside the buffer tube. In order to do that, first thing we put in is either some buffers, some washers, some coins that will fit in there. But as I said, like everyone's different. We've looked at a stock Tokyo Marui version. We've looked at a Fight Club custom on my completely custom MWS. I'm pretty sure that's a Fight Club custom stock, and on this one we're looking at a real steel mil-spec BCM. So 3 different kinds, 3 different lengths of buffering, but ultimately they've all got that bit of damage because I've made that mistake myself plenty of times before. So you are in good company, don't worry, we've all done it. But yeah, if you can stop it from happening from this moment forward, then do that. There you go, guys. I hope it's helped. I will see you on the next video. Don't know when that'll be, but hopefully not too long. Take care.